All right, today we're diving into a really powerful story, a kind of modern parable that feels both timeless and honestly super relevant right now. We're going to take a philosophical journey down into this shadowed canyon where a jester comes face to face with a creature whose venom isn't in its fangs, but in its ideas.
So, what's this really all about? At its heart, this is a tale about one of the most destructive human emotions you can think of: envy. But it's envy disguised as a call for justice. And, maybe even more importantly, it's about the incredible strength of will it takes to just resist that pull. That's the central fight we're going to unpack here.
So, picture this. Our story doesn't start on some sunny mountain peak. Nope, it begins deep down in a shadowed canyon. The text describes it as a place of stagnant air, where the sun never really shines and the wind doesn't blow. It's the perfect breeding ground for these kinds of ideas that, fester in the dark, away from any kind of clarity or light. And into this abyss wanders our protagonist, the jester. He's come down from the clear, fresh air of the mountains, and now he finds himself in the territory of the self-proclaimed preachers of equality, the tarantulas. This is where the dialogue, this clash of ideas, really begins.
Now, get this. Our antagonist isn't some mindless monster. The tarantula's main weapon is language. It wraps itself up in this mask of piety, talking like it's one of the good and the just, all while spitting these thick, gray webs. So this isn't a physical fight we're talking about. It's an ideological one. The tarantula doesn't just, jump out and attack. Not at all. Instead, it offers this very seductive invitation to come join its cause. But as we're about to see, this whole invitation is a trap. It's a call to get caught in a web of total stagnation. I mean, listen to these words. Let us spin a web of justice where no one is higher than another. It sounds so noble, doesn't it? A world with no struggle, where the storm is literally forbidden to break the branch. But the jester sees right through it. He knows it's a beautiful lie that's just hiding a really tyrannical appetite. And this lays out the conflict perfectly. On one side, you've got the tarantula's vision, the great flattening. It's a kind of justice that's really motivated by envy. It's a web designed to trap anyone who tries to climb, and it's fueled by what the jester calls the black scab of revenge. But on the other side, you have the jester's truth, that life is a staircase, a constant drive to surpass yourself, all motivated by growth. Boom. The jester just slices right through the tarantula's righteous act. He's basically saying your justice isn't about lifting anyone up. It's about tearing down people who are higher than you because you can't stand to see them succeed. You're trying to pass off envy as a virtue. So, you can imagine, after being exposed like that, the tarantula is enraged. It drops the words and takes action. This is the real turning point. The moment this philosophical debate becomes a physical and a spiritual crisis for our jester. This is the parable of the stain. The tarantula bites the jester, and the venom it injects is something called ressentiment. This is a really key idea from the philosopher Nietzsche. It's not just being angry, it's this deep, poisonous resentment where you blame some external scapegoat for your own feelings of failure or inadequacy. It's the venom of the vengeful spirit. And you can see the poison taking hold step by step. First, there's this dizzying shock. Then comes this burning desire for payback, to crush the spider, to judge it, to make it hurt. He feels this urge to dance the tarantula, that frantic, vengeful dance. The psychological trap is snapping shut. But right there, in the middle of all that white-hot rage, something just clicks for the jester. He has this massive realization. This is the trap. If he gives in, if he fights hate with more hate, he becomes the very thing he's fighting against. He just becomes another tarantula. And that brings us to the climax. This isn't about fighting a spider anymore. It's a battle inside himself. It's the ultimate test of the jester's will, what the source material calls the Anstoß, the moment of choice. So what in the world is Anstoß? Well, it's a philosophical idea from Fichte. Think of it like an external check or some kind of resistance that just stops you in your tracks. In this story, it's the venom. And this check forces you to wake up, to become aware of your own freedom, and to decide right then and there who you are and what you're going to do. The venom isn't just poison, it's a question. And that question is a big one. Is he going to give in? Is he going to let that poison define him and just become a whirlwind of revenge? Or is he going to choose a different path entirely? Right at that critical moment, a voice calls down from above. It's the horned guardian warning him about the consequences. If you strike back, you become a judge. You reduce your grand, chaotic story to just a petty argument that ends in a courtroom. His entire being is on the line. And his response is an incredible act of will. He drops his axe, he refuses to strike. Instead of lashing out, he turns inward. He leans against the stone pillar and fights the poison with nothing but his own resolve. And let me tell you, that's not weakness. That is immense strength. That single act of refusal, that choice, leads us to the final part of our story, the Jester's triumph. And it's not about defeating the tarantula. It's about rising above the fight completely. This is what you'd call a sovereign ascent. He screams at the tarantula, and his words here define what real sovereignty is. It's not a reaction to someone else's attack. True power, true freedom, is proactive. It's the activity that simply ignores the poison, that refuses to let malice define it. He doesn't choose to look down with spite, he chooses the holy contempt of the eagle. Think about that for a second. An eagle soaring way up in the sky doesn't hate the spider crawling in the dust. It's not even on the same level. Its contempt comes from altitude, not from animosity. And there it is. That's the ultimate lesson of this whole parable. The jester, limping but climbing, leaves the tarantula in the shadows. He proves that you don't beat the spirit of revenge by getting down in the mud with it. You beat it by climbing to a place mentally, spiritually, where its venom just can't get to you. And that leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? Because this isn't just a story about a jester and a tarantula. It's a question for every single one of us. When we feel that sting of envy or resentment or that call for revenge, the venom in our own lives, what does it mean for us to climb? What does it mean to choose the contempt of the eagle?